Greetings. This is Arvette McLean with Speak, The Universe Listens. New ways to view age-old challenges. Change your thoughts, change your life. Step into the bigness of you.
Hey y'all.
Hey.
So the other day I was watching a clip on Instagram, right? And it was of this dude and he was saying something that was very interesting to me. He was like, we should stop thinking about time in a day in the old construct of 24 hours. He's like, I like to break my days up to like 6 hours here is a day, 6 hours here is a day, 6 hours here is a day. I was like, yeah, that's really cool. But his reasoning was kind of interesting to me. His reasoning was, say we at the end of like a full 24 hours, I've gotten more work done than you and I've grinded harder than you. So I'm going to be ahead of you because I did more in that 24 hours because I broke it up into different days. And that to me was interesting. And because I just don't get the whole, we got to grind. So I was wondering how y'all felt about that.
For me, that's what I grew up on. That grind. You got to work hard. But for the most part, though, I somewhat agree with that, though. I mean, for me, I don't look at the day as like, I got a full 8-hour day or it's 24 hours. I don't even think about the time, to be honest. I just be so much in the present moment that, I don't think about the time. Working hard, that I do. That I do. But I somewhat agree with him, though.
Yeah, well, for me, it was interesting because it's like, I don't feel like I need to work super hard to get as much accomplished. Like, and I think it's, actually, when I think back on my life, I've always kind of taken the law of least effort approach. I just never really knew that. Like, if you would ask me, like, oh, are you lazy? I'd be like, no, I'm very, like, conservative of my energy. Like, I don't feel like I needed to go spend a whole 24 hours working on this one thing in order to get accomplished when I just do it whenever I feel like it. Not like that, but like I do it until I don't feel like I want to do that anymore. And then by the end of that, I've accomplished just as much as most people, but it felt way better. Like it didn't feel like a stressor on me. And I remember those times where I used to be like, oh, gotta go in there and work hard. You gotta work twice as hard to get half as much. I remember all the things I used to tell myself. But you know what it was? I started looking around and I was working hard, but I won't change nothing. Like I was working hard. Like I'm gonna go take this overtime. Walgreens offering holiday pay. Let's do that because I don't really need to spend the Christmas morning. But like at the end, my checks felt like the same. So I just didn't. And very early, I was like, I don't need to do that anymore. So yeah, that was just my feeling on it.
I remember thinking that like the busier you were, the more successful you were, but that's what I had seen, from my dad, my uncles. Like they was always busy, always doing something. So I felt like that's what I was supposed to be doing. And as I get older now, it's like, the busier you are, the more drained or whatever you can feel like. And I don't feel like you said, like that's changing. Like I feel like there's other ways that you can go about doing things without being in the grind, or I gotta be nonstop doing something.
That actually, what you just said reminds me of a conversation I just had at work the other day. I was in there talking to the chefs, and they're like, "Well, what are you gonna do on the Christmas break?" And I was telling them, I feel like lately I've been doing things I don't mind doing, but this break I want to take it and make sure I want to do everything I'm doing, because when you have the feeling of I don't mind it, then it's like I feel like the results are only as half as much as what they could be. Or my emotions towards it doesn't really feel like what I want it to feel like. And so I was like, yeah, like over this 2 weeks, everything I want to do, I'm gonna do. And if it's like, I don't mind it, I'm gonna say no this time. Because I want to put the right energy on everything I'm doing. I want to come back into like the new year with a refresh, like everything I'm doing, I am enjoying every part of it. Not like, I do it because, well, I should do that because I'm closer over here, or this makes sense here, or well, I happen to be able to do this well, so it makes more sense for me to do this. Yeah, that's my thing now.
Yeah, you didn't include me in your list of people that used to always be busy, but like I used to, work around the clock, and I really believed in hard work. I really believed in, you got to work for what you want. I believed in setting goals, working towards them. Yeah, like the whole gamut that we all believe in. But I always felt like I could outwork anybody. Like I could work anybody under the table. I start way before everybody else gets up, and I continue, and I just won't stop. And it was like I wouldn't go to the bathroom, I wouldn't eat, I wouldn't take care of my basic, necessities, because I was working hard, I was in the grind. And, I did have success with mostly everything that I did. Like whatever I set out to do, I worked until it was done. It was no such thing of this ain't working out. Right. I was gonna make it work out. So yes, I lived a large part of my life from that space until I came across the law of least effort and could not understand that law whatsoever, but was willing to try, willing to see what is this all about. And every day I feel like I'm learning more and more about how life can just be so easy. And I think about all the years that I made it so hard. And so people tell me on a regular basis, I know you're busy, you're so busy, you work so hard, and I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I don't. And people are like, how do you get so much accomplished? You just get so much done. But yeah, trust me, I'm not anywhere working hard. And it was really just a matter of lining your energy up in a different way. There's nothing wrong with working hard. Nothing at all wrong with it. It's just, well, I'm not gonna say there's nothing wrong with it. If that's what you want to do, there's nothing wrong with it. But like for me, when I worked hard, I had nothing else. Really no health, really no friends, really no fun. All I did was work. But now I literally get to live the life of my dreams, but that was by releasing all of that and just changing my perspective and recognizing who I really am and lining my energy up to that. And so it's not really that I'm not doing action, I'm still taking action, but it's effortless. It's an easy action, it's fun action. Just doing this podcast, for example, we've been doing this for 5 years. We've never missed a week. And it doesn't feel like work. It just feels easy and effortless. And so that's pretty much how things are. And I don't even set goals anymore. Things, it's like I might have a thought about something. Like, I would love this. And then everything just lines up. And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, well, let's go with that, man. Let's do it like that, then.
Well, just listening to what you were saying, all that made me think, I think you guys remember, too, at one time I was working, 2 jobs, Get off one job and then go to the next. And I used to sit in the parking lot, and we used to have our calls, and I'd be sitting up in there like, what you doing? Well, I'm ready to clock in. But I was just thinking about those times. It felt like I needed to work hard in order to prove that I was successful, or that that I was doing something. And I realized later on down the road that I was draining myself, really. I had something to show for what I was doing, but I wasn't able to enjoy, my time away from work. I wasn't able to have more quality time with my daughter, or just have time for myself, because I'm just giving all my energy to working hard, being on the grind. And I got to a point where now just working one job, now I'm able to experience life a little bit, enjoy myself, do the things that I always wanted to do outside of work. Because at that time, it was a lot of things I wanted to do, but I put work as my full focus and put everything else on the back burner.
Yeah, I think both of y'all said something that was so I feel like I've just been living through that right now actually. Like when you spoke about like, yeah, I don't set goals anymore. So I kind of feel like that way too, except I know that like sometimes I can't really express that like in the professional world, that it's like, all right, like I know that we should be working towards this, but I'm like, look, it's all gonna come, so let's just all feel good and be cool about it. But that don't really sound cool when people looking at numbers saying, all right, well, we need this. And so for me, it was always trying to find that balance of how to express what I'm feeling, and like that these feelings and the emotion is gonna come out into the work. Because I know like if somebody would have ever like walked past me, it would look like I never worked. Like, and I do like a lot, but it's like it's all about like a feel thing for me. Like, so I have to be feeling good, having conversations, and it all just ends up translating into whatever we need. But like it's all a feel. Like if you just sit me down in front of a computer and go, all right, work now, you probably won't get much production out of it.
That makes me think of like when it's like, okay, we want to go on a trip or whatever. Like I'm talking to my friends and it's like, oh, all right, well I need to work like this. I need to work overtime, and I need to budget this and that. This is the stuff they're saying, and I know like recently for me, like I say the past year or so, it's like I don't think about that. Like I just think, okay, this where we want to go, and I just put my attention on that and put my mind in visualizing that, and then I don't have to worry about it. Somehow, some way, everything get paid for, everything happens, nothing is missed. And I like what you said about that, because that's, I ain't gonna say it's hard, but it's funny trying to express that to people, you know, when they're like, I gotta work hard, I gotta do overtime and all this to do this. And it's like, I'm just like, okay, but I'll be there. I'm gonna do mine a little different way. And so yeah, that just made me think about how, like I tell you all the time, like I don't know how we be affording these trips and stuff, because people swear I travel all the time, but I don't think I travel like I want to travel, or I don't think I travel like, you know, but I don't know how we be paying for this stuff or whatever, but everything always happen and be good. So yeah, and none of it is from I didn't work so hard to where like I'm exhausted type of deal.
And I think the hard part, if you want to call it hard, of aligning your energy, like basically you're lining up to your highest self. Basically, in a nutshell, you're just making sure you feel good.
Right.
Making sure you feel good. But the hardest part to me is like whatever direction you're already focused in, it can be a challenge to focus somewhere else. And so, and I can just use myself for an example, like, so I'm already focused on, okay, I'm fat, right? Like that's where my focus is. So the hard part is to cause yourself to focus in a different way, because you're so used to giving your attention to what you're looking at. And so to really focus it in a different direction, and then once you're focused in that different direction, the energy will flow of what your next step is. Like you don't have to guess and figure out and, you know, try to pull from this piggy bank, and that the energy will tell you what to do, and you just automatically know what to do, and it'll be something easy. So it's kind of like when we're working hard, it's like the ideals come a little slower, and you got to figure things out. Then it's kind of like you gotta, you know, struggle through it, versus everything like, oh, this is a great, let me do this. And you just show up, and the person that you need to see is right there. And, you know, it's just like a whole different life And it's kind of like to me, like what Rodney was saying about, his friends are like, I got to work hard, da 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 da. And it's like, you really can't say anything in a sense because it's literally like they're living in a different world than what you're living in. And when a person is in that other world, especially sometimes you can be in that other world, but you can see over there, like you're like, what? They're doing something different over there. And so people who can kind of see, you can kind of be that bridge to help them get across. But people who are in that other world, they gonna think you crazy, basically. So I think it's easy to, for example, it's easy to look at TV, but what we could also be doing is imagining something different. Or it's easy to listen to a person talk, but we could also be guiding the conversation. So it's like a lot of things that it does take effort to change, but the effort is like a mental effort more so than to go out and physically, be in the grind. Yeah. And like, it's interesting too, like I was just saying about people living in different worlds. Cause I don't even know where I want to start because I can start at so many different points. But what I will say is I was working with a publisher on my last children's book. And I remember on the day of the launch, she said, I can tell you, Arvette has worked really, really hard on this book. She really worked hard on this book. And I was thinking, did I? Like, I don't remember that. And so I guess realizing, because she and I we did everything side by side, step by step. So she probably worked really hard on that book from her perspective. But from my perspective, this was easy and fun and effortless. So.
And I was thinking, like, I remember when I was talking about when I was working 2 jobs, and now in the space that I'm in, I'm so far from that hustle and bustle of, being on a grind that, I can't even imagine now working as hard as how I was then, because now it's just more of in the mindset of just not thinking about working hard or grinding hard. I'm just more being and just flowing every day. That's all I can say. I'm just flowing every day. So I don't work hard no more. Yeah. But I still get the same results in return.
I remember years ago, I asked on Arvette, like, let's just say for instance I needed $200 for something. I'd be like, what can I do to get $200? And then she'll say something like, I don't want to misquote you. What would you say? It'll be something like basically put my, visualize or whatever. And I'd be like, what? But nah, what can I work to do to get this $200? And then she'll say something else, and I'll be like, but nah, what can I physically do? Right. And it's funny because I have a whole different understanding of that now. And I didn't have to do something physical or a job to get it, because now I feel like when I need something and I put my mind on it, I just let it go and it just works itself out. Like, I don't have to sit there and watch it or sit there and think about it all day, or it just happens. And I feel like I never got anything with stressing about it and working hard, like working until non-stop. Because a lot of times I will work so hard that you'll forget, oh, why am I doing this again? Like,
Yeah.
what was the goal? Because I'm so wrapped up in like working this hard, like, you know. So now it's totally life changing. Like you said, when you see the other side, like, oh, hold on now, I ain't gotta be doing 16-hour days or whatever to get what I want, you know.
And I think it's just being willing to imagine something different. And I remember, you know, like as a teenager or whatever, and people would say, if you had $1 million, what would you do or something? And I'm like, if I was a millionaire, I would still go to work every day. And I would not, you know, I wouldn't spend all my money on, you know, fancy stuff or whatever. I would get like a little modest little house, you know, and you know, just I'm just like, yeah, because I don't even understand how people can go to work. I just be so confused. I'm like, you gotta go today? Didn't you go yesterday? I'm like, I don't know how y'all do it.
Well, thank y'all for having this conversation. This was really fun, honestly, and I guess if I had one takeaway from this conversation, it would be that you don't have to grind, and that I think the biggest key of everything that we said is we put our mind on it, on what we wanted, and then it became that. Because I know sometimes that part can get lost in the translation of I didn't have to do anything. It's like, no, I put my mind on it, so it was all like a mental and a feeling thing that reminded me that I'm already connected to everything that I wanted, and so it's already right there. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
conversation. And thank you guys for joining us. And we look forward to chatting with you again next week. Until then, this is Arvette.
And this is Steve.
Teron.
Rodney.